Are you brave enough for 90% of your market to ignore you because the last 5% matters? In a world of internet noise and complex funnels, 90% of women coaches, they're talking to leads, to missions, to movements, to projects. They're figuring out how to close the sale. What is the next best trending strategy or marketing hook? But today, on day 10 of the Sacred Selling Circle experience, we're stripping away all of the generic stuff and we're talking about being human. That last 5%, selling human to human in a way that supports Caleb, your premium coaching client, to raise her hand and ask you for the sale. No hesitations, no objections. Hello, beautiful, and welcome to High-Ticket Sales for Women in the Prosperous Womb. Caleb did not wake up this morning looking for a coach. Caleb is looking for a lighthouse. She's standing at her mailbox. And we talked about this yesterday, the difference between the plastic bag, the empty plastic bag offers that blow in the wind, the life raft offers that are here to save the client and draw her to her greatness, and the lighthouse offers that support Caleb to see herself, remember who she is, and come back home to the thing that God is calling her to do. Caleb is focusing on you because you're the 10% of the market. That's where your eye is on Caleb. She's that 10% of your people. We're showing up and we're serving deeply as real humans, speaking to real humans and selling human to human. What does that look like? We're not selling to people on the internet. We're looking right at Caleb, because when you speak to 10%, when you speak to the 10% of your market, that is Caleb, the other 90%, they feel it. They see the lighthouse, they see the light, they feel you, and they come home to your offer. When you speak to 100% of your market, nobody sees you, and Caleb cannot recognize you because she's not looking for 90%. She's looking for the one person who has what she wants. That's the difference. In online sales, all of us women coaches, especially online, people are focused on how to close high-ticket sales. Where do I find the best clients? How do I attract high-ticket coaching clients? But here's the thing. You being that last 5% that matters, you're not here to convince, you're not here to persuade, you're not here to make anyone buy. You show up, you listen, you're curious, you're deeply, deeply curious. You have empathy inside of you, and you ask the better questions. Caleb sees you, that 10% of people, they see you, they raise their hand because you're speaking only to them, and they sell themselves into the offer. It starts with the offer, the lighthouse, your messaging, the love letter messaging. And Caleb's seeing that light that reminds her there's a connection. It's not a performance. There's a connection. It's not a performance, because you're showing up with a kind of human stillness, that stillness that it doesn't exist anymore. Nobody has it anymore because they're all tied to their devices on social media, scrolling as if the world is going to fall apart, and they won't be there to notice when it falls apart. No. The question is not how to attract more people. It's not how to attract where do I find my coaching clients? It's, am I being brave enough to be so specific, to be so clued in and clock Caleb, so that I connect so deeply on a human level that everybody else ignores me and only Caleb can see me. Only Caleb can see you, recognize you, and find you today and invest in working with you. No hesitation, no questions asked, no objections. Can you do that? This is what I call the alabaster shift, because when Caleb is looking for you, the coach, she's not looking for some generic surgeon. She's looking for the heart specialist. Not because you're better than everybody else, okay? You have your gifts, they have their gifts. But because you stand out, it makes you different, and you don't have to perform to be different. There's a human quality to you that brings the connection of curiosity that nobody else is bringing to the table. When you own your alabaster shift, your alabaster quality is the thing that you have, that gift that God has given you, where you see the thing that nobody else can see. And Caleb starts to wonder, how is it that Jennifer can see this, but the other 90% of coaches don't see this? It's not in their offers, it's not in their messaging, it's not even the kind of offer that they do. You stop being a coach to Caleb. You stop being a coach to Caleb, and you become an answer. The answer that God sent to her prayers. You start being a midwife for a very bespoke, specific miracle or outcome or result. And Caleb will pay you for that specific gift. She'll give you $100,000. She'll give you $1 million, even though somebody else is selling something similar for $5,000. You know, people say, how can you sell a $250K offer as a business coach when everybody else is doing business coaching? It's because the thing that you see is what Caleb is paying you for. And that person selling a 5K offer in a million years can never see the thing that you see, because of the skills you have, the experience you have, but most importantly, because of the gift you have that's tied to the work that you're doing. 90% of coaches are not doing the work in their gifts. They're doing the work that coaches tell them to do or what's trending on social media. So the last 5% also is where you create sales conversations. Not a sales call, not a whatever, a sales conversation. Here's the thing. Everyone else is too busy to talk to people who pay them. They talk in the DMs, they can text, but no, nobody has sales conversations anymore. They're too big for that. They're too rich for that. They're too powerful for that, okay? They don't talk to people who pay them, but you do. You know, everybody else is available to everyone else. I tell my kids this all the time when they're on the phone texting their friends. You're available to everyone else, but you're present with no one. This is what's going on in the coaching industry. Women coaches are available to everyone, but they're present to no one, okay? They have these online conversations, and their human connection is so thin. It lives in the scroll. I see this all the time with my own kids. The human connection is so small. When somebody says, "Oh, today I had an F in a test and I had a bad day," they send a crying emoji or frowning face, and I say, "You're gonna call her?" Who does that? Nobody talks on the phone anymore. And they send it. When somebody says, "Oh my God, I had an A in a class," or "I had a really great day," or "This happened," they send like a happy emoji or something. That's the conversation now. It lives in a scroll, okay? And this is why sales conversations are so challenging for women coaches, because they cannot sit in silence. They don't know how to sit in the silence. It's too awkward. But you are the last 5%. You realize that silence is not awkward. When you're a high-ticket sales coach, when you're a business coach, when you're a life coach, when you're a spiritual life coach, when you're a mindset coach, when you're a high-value coach, you realize that silence is not awkward. In sales, silence is your superpower. It makes you the last 5%. It's just a natural pause between breaths. That's all it is. It's a natural pause between breaths. And you're not expected to perform between your breaths. You're not expected to perform. You're not on social media. You're not online. You're not doing the thing. You're having a human-to-human interaction with someone when you create the offer. It's human. You think of the human. You ask questions of yourself for that human. And she sees that in the Lighthouse offer. When you do your messaging, she can hear the questions that you're asking. And it's pulling her home to herself, because there's a frequency in her body that remembers something. There's a remembrance, a memory that comes back alive for her. The space, the silence that everybody's scared to have in sales conversations is a space for Caleb to say yes to herself. There's no performance. And this is what makes you different. Because I'm going to share the same invitation that I share with my kids every single day. I tell them this. I tell them this every day, because they think that over-analyzing punctuation in their text messaging is a human connection. And over-analyzing the punctuation, should I do a comma? Is this something, mom? Is this something like, what do I do here? That's not human connection. So I say to my kids all the time, my family members, stop donating your spare time to social media. Stop donating your spare time to the scroll. Social media, the online space, they're not villains. It's not a villain, but your relationship with the scroll can dehumanize you. So that when you show up to sell, you don't want to ask conversations. You don't want to have conversations anymore. When you show up to sell, you just want people to close because your offer is a no-brainer and they should just say yes. No. My invitation to my kids and my clients is to be the oasis that's still presence. Be the oasis. You know, every day you wake up, the earth is spinning. Don't miss it. The earth is spinning. Don't miss it, because you're scrolling. So be the person who does the last 5% that no other woman coach is willing to do. You don't curate your social media feed because to prove that your life is amazing. And I tell this to my kids all the time. To my family members, because my kids are not on social media. You don't curate social media to show that your life is amazing. The most amazing part of your life cannot make it on social media. It's too amazing to be on social media. So forget about that nonsense and live your life where you're curious about people, you're interested, you deeply care about people, you want to know what matters to them, what they care about, what's important to them, what they value the most. Tell me about yourself. Tell me what you want. That's what makes you the last 5%. That's what makes you, it makes you beautiful and amazing and attractive to only the 10%. Everybody else is going to ignore you because they're just scrolling. They're dehumanized at this point. So you don't perform and you don't squeeze client conversations into emojis. I have one client who says to me, I said to her, how do you interact with your clients? She's like, oh, we do emojis when they say this, they got to, this person did this, I send this emoji. And I go, oh, my 12-year-old does that, my 13-year-old does that too. But we don't squeeze premium coaching client interactions into emojis. They're conversations that we have because we care about people and we listen to them. That's why God gave us this and this and this and this. It wasn't to scroll blindly on autopilot on social media. And this is not a thing about social media. This is just about life and how we show up in our sales conversations with expectations that we bring from social media because we've dehumanized ourselves. It's the relationship we have with electronics that's causing sales conversations to go downhill. So we don't live in formulas. We stop living in the formulas. We stop living in the sales scripts and we show up away from the scripts and we sell. The best people, the best coaches, the world leading coaches, the leading coaches in the world, they don't sell from a script. They show up as a human and ask better questions. When you show up as a human and ask better questions, you can sell. So we don't need to master high-ticket sales. We don't need to master objections. We don't need to master where to find the lead. What we need to do is master how to serve, master coaching so that we can lead and be the human in the conversation, the last 5%. The last 5% makes you a category of one that's supposed to sell a $250K offer fast with zero objections, but it's going to make, because that other person who's selling a $5K offer is already dehumanized, she's going to have to overcome objections. But you get $250,000 paid in full simply because you saw the person, because you relate to the person as a human, because you're curious enough to care what matters to them, what's most useful to them, what's valuable to them. Stop talking to the leads. Stop talking to the leads and speak to people, to the person, to one human. One sale is one human being with a real life, with her a real divinity. Speak to her divinity. Honor her wisdom. Honor the light that God has put in her, the magic God has put in her. Honor the desires God has put in her heart. Honor her empathy. Honor her life that she lives with her husband, her kids, and her work, and her job, and her body, and her health. Honor the decisions that she makes. Honor her power and her own momentum, not yours. So this is what supports, this is the attraction, the magnet, the what's in your DNA that makes people buy from you, what attracts you, what's your one thing, what's your unique selling factor, whatever those things are. It's this, the last 5%. And that's what supports clients to buy the 100K offer instead of the 5K offer. And people say, but it's 100K and this is 5K. Yeah, but this one, she sees my humanity. She sees me. She can hear me. She's holding space for me. I feel like she knows me and she's in my head. Those emojis are fun. They're cool. The pictures on social media, they're amazing. But your best life is not on social media. It can't be. It's too fabulous to be on the internet. So when you honor her divinity and your own divinity, the sale happens before you say a word. She raises her hand to ask you for the sale. High-ticket sales, it doesn't happen in a script. It doesn't happen in a script. It happens when Caleb feels like you're asking her the better questions. It happens in your lighthouse offer when it shows up and it's sturdy and it's not blowing in the wind like a plastic bag, and it doesn't change. It doesn't change based on who's looking at it. It happens in your love letter messaging that doesn't get minimized because somebody says you're too much. That doesn't get small because you didn't get any likes or comments on your post. No. It happens in the things that matter to her life. When you focus on what matters to her specifically and specifically for her life. Before you ever have a sales conversation with a client, she needs to feel that you see her as powerful. She needs to know that you see her as resourceful, that you see her as a co-creator with God. The same power that God put inside of you is the same power that God put inside of her. So when she reads your email or watches your video, she says, oh wow, even the name of this offer makes me feel powerful. Even the name of this offer makes me feel like she knows I can do it on my own. But I'm choosing to co-create with her. You break all the barriers by not saying I'm just like you. Well, that's one of the things people do in their messaging. They want to be relatable. Do not be relatable. Respect her momentum. Respect her momentum. Respect her divinity and her power. That don't say I'm just like you. Your words, your email, your thing should say the thing that says I'm just like you without saying the words I'm just like you. Because she sees your power. So I'm just like you means you're just like me. We're powerful together. That's all it means. We're powerful together. When people say I'm just like you, they try to be relatable, like, yeah, I have mindset issues, I'm this. No, she doesn't need to worry about your mindset issues. She's not here to stroke your ego. She's not here to make you feel better. That's what chocolate is for, your masseuse. She's here to get the thing that God has for her. Respect her momentum. Again, the best women in sales, they have one thing in common. One thing. None of their offers come from a template. None of their questions come from a script. It comes straight from the heart. So if you're selling to an attorney, you don't speak to her profession. You don't speak to the lawyer. You don't speak to the profession. You don't speak to the industry. You speak to the woman. Caleb. What does Caleb want? Not what does the lawyer want? What's happening in the profession? You've mastered the niche. You know that already. Master Caleb. The who. When you design your lighthouse as if Caleb is already standing at the mailbox waiting for you. When you design the lighthouse as if Caleb is waiting for your light, looking for a lighthouse. When you design it as if she can't wait to hear from you, your message changes. The offer that you put out changes. You start to write love letters in your messaging, as if you truly believe she's waiting at the mailbox, just opening it. Did the mail come yet? Did the mail come yet? Did the mailman come yet? That you start to write as if Caleb is asking that question. So my invitation to you today is, I ask my clients this all the time. When you are selling a $250K offer, a $100K offer, a $50K offer, a $25K offer, a $10K offer, a $1 million offer, what if you truly believed that the only person listening to you when they read your sales page, the only person that's watching your video, the only person that is watching that Facebook Live, the only person that is reading your email is Caleb. And Caleb loves you. Not you per se. She loves the offer. She loves everything that you're doing. She wouldn't judge you. She's not going to condemn you. She's not going to guilt you. She's not going to do anything. She's not even going to like your or comment on your post, by the way. She's not going to do that either. She's simply going to thank God that she found you. She's going to say, thank God. Thank God for Jennifer. Thank God for Mimi. Thank God for Katie. Thank God for this coach. Okay? She's going to be so grateful to hand you some money, the $1 million, the 50K to work with her. She'll be so relieved when she finds you. How much of you would show up in your work if you knew only Caleb, that 10% of the population, the 10% of your market, was watching for you, like waiting? Where's the lighthouse? Where's the lighthouse? How much of you will lean into designing offers just for that 10%? When people design offers for just the 10%, it's called a lighthouse. And the other 90%, they don't get left behind. They see it and they go, oh, well, that's special. Let me see. I mean, they rise up. Their frequency raises up to the level that you're holding them at. Even the ones who said, I can't afford it, all of a sudden they come out of your audience. The people that used to buy 2K offers now buy the 100K offers, because all of a sudden you calibrate them up to the frequency of the 250K premium coaching client. And now all of a sudden you're selling to the same people that had excuses before. And the offer is $98,000 more. Go figure. You raise them up to who God says they are. That's what happens. And they remember who they are. And it's that remembrance that sells. Selling from human to human is an awakening. It's an awakening. It's remembering that you are a co-creator with God. That Caleb is a co-creator with God. And honoring that Caleb is that powerful person. It's that you don't have to perform. God, you don't have to perform. And you don't have to outsource your brilliance. You don't have to outsource your power to a proven system. People have all these strategies and proven systems that have given them 8 figures in 8 days. If that was a system God had for you, you would have it. Your system is tied to your gifts and your power. So honor Caleb's intelligence, honor her power, honor the real life that she's living right now. So when you midwife that offer, it becomes a lighthouse offer for Caleb. Your message speaks directly to her heart. And in a room full of 4,000 potential clients, she says to herself, oh my God, Mimi sees me. And when she reads the email I sent, she thinks she's the only one I sent an email to today. No, I sent to the entire email community, but she opens it and thinks, oh, this is for me. She sees the Facebook Live, you're talking to the entire world, but you're thinking of Caleb, not 10%. She sees the Facebook Live and goes, she's talking to me. And because Caleb feels like you're talking to her, 90% of the other people are going to think you're talking to them. But if you talk to the 100% of the world, no one, not even Caleb, can see you or know that you're talking to them. So my invitation to you today is focus on the fact that Caleb wants the offer, not because you convinced her, not because you persuaded her, not because you have great branding, not because you're the most famous coach on social media. She wants it because she wants it. That's it. It's so simple that it is anticlimactic for some of my clients when they realize the client said yes because she wanted to say yes. It had nothing to do with anything. They saw the lighthouse and they said yes. If they had seen a plastic bag blowing in the wind, they would not say yes. If they had seen a life raft that's there to save them from dragging to their greatness, they would say no, and they would object because they feel like something's off. But they saw a lighthouse and they said yes. That's it. There's no drama. There's no drama. She's powerful enough to choose it for herself. My question to you today is, drop in the comments below. What is the one thing that you do that everyone else overlooks? What is the one thing in your industry, in your niche, in your business that you do that everyone else overlooks? And it's what I call your alabaster quality, your alabaster DNA. It's your heart-to-heart connection. It's the thing that your client pays you the $250,000 for. And tomorrow on day 11, we go deeper into the alabaster studio. Let me know how this lands for you.